Welcome to Dean Dorton's first official podcast. While we've been planning to launch a podcast later on this summer, we find ourselves wanting to share more of our thoughts and insights with you, and we're looking for creative ways to do so. We recognize these times are pressing for all of us, and we want to do anything we can to provide guidance for you and your company. With that said, I want to give you a short background about who you're hearing from today. My name is David Bundy. I'm the president and CEO of Dean Dorton. We're one of the largest certified public accounting and advisory firms in the Southeast. Personally, I've had a career that's lasted more than 30 years so far. I worked in public accounting and private industry, starting as an auditor and then transitioned into a consultant role. I've helped many companies, from small nonprofits to large corporations and medical groups, through mergers, acquisitions, strategic planning, operational assessments, and the development of operational improvement plans. Today, I just want to give you some thoughts I've had around the COVID-19 topic, and it's centered around this idea that as a society, we all do know that we'll get through this. But once we do, how do we get restarted? To say that we are in unprecedented times in our country is as large an understatement that could be made. Today, we're doing what we can to prevent the spread of a virus that is still not completely understood. We do know that our best course of action today is to practice social distancing. The models of the impact of this action are updated daily, and there's hope for now that we're having a positive impact on the spread. Although we know there's a lot more work to do to completely eliminate the impact of COVID-19, we're starting to believe that at some point the social distancing measures we are undertaking can begin to ease. So it's probably time to at least begin the process of asking the question, what do we do then? We recognize that the social distancing measures taken have impacted every business in our economy. Many have had to close completely, while others have seen a dramatic decrease in revenue. Over 16 million people have been laid off or furloughed in the last 3 weeks alone as companies desperately try to survive. To many of us, we are having flashbacks to 2008 and the massive recession that hit and kept our economy struggling for years. We take our experiences from 12 years ago and we begin to apply that to our situation today, but everything I've read indicates that may not be the best thing to do. Many economists point out that just 8 weeks ago our economy was as strong as it's ever been. There were very few issues with any of the underlying economic forces in our country. So they take a look at the economic impact of COVID-19 and treat it as a natural disaster, something that hits the economy, has its impact, but then the economy recovers. There are numerous predictions on when the economy fully recovers, from a few quarters to 7 quarters to possibly more. But those predictions are for full recovery. The growth from where we are today will start much sooner than that, which means your company, whether you faced a complete shutdown or a decrease in revenue and corresponding decrease in staffing, will need to be prepared to re-engage in the economy. So although our first priority remains doing what we can to stop the spread of the virus, I do not think it is too early to begin asking what you should do to restart your company. Let me make a very obvious statement. You have no playbook to follow for advice on how to restart your company. As I've considered what should be done, I can't help but to think about a scene from the 1995 movie Apollo 13. In a pivotal point in the movie, astronaut Ken Mattingly, played by Gary Sinise, had to develop the correct sequence the Apollo 13 crew had to follow to restart a command module. He had no room for error, and failure on his part meant the lives of the crew. Now, I don't believe any of us are facing such a life or death situation, and I believe the margin of error in restarting a business is much greater than what was faced during the Apollo 13 mission. However, I believe we can develop a sequence in restarting that will help us to do so more effectively and to do so more efficiently. Not all these steps may apply to your situation, but I believe they should all be considered. Here are some ideas on the sequencing I'd follow. I'd start by reconditioning your thought process. This may sound like a random place to start, but it's one that I believe may be the most crucial to your post-pandemic success. The economic impact from COVID-19 has come at us hard and fast, and many businesses correctly shifted quickly to survival mode. However, it's hard to think about restarting your company and to do so well if you continue to think about things in a survival mode setting. Allow yourself to begin to see past where we are today so you can see clearly what steps you should take to restart. The second thing I do is to restart your mission. This is a step you probably not considered, and it may be one you don't have to take, but hear me out on this. Each successful company has a mission. They have a purpose in our economy. With all the changes we are facing, I believe it's a good time to just check and make sure that purpose and mission are still valid. Keep in mind, we're not only facing an unusual time today, we have to begin to anticipate how things will work once the social distancing measures ease. This step of reviewing your mission can also serve as a way to jumpstart your thinking about the restarting, and it may allow you to think and see some changes you can make to allow you to have more success in the future. The third thing I do is to review your processes. Over the last 6 weeks, we've all had the opportunity to see how our organizations react under an extremely stressful event. How quickly were you able to shift supporting operations? How easily were you able to shift ordering supplies and processing accounting transactions? How well did you bill and collect your customers while this social distancing was taking place? I believe you should never waste a hardship. Take a hard look to see if there are some efficiencies you can gain by the way you do things. It's possible that where you found obstacles in your shifting of workloads, there may be an inefficiency that you can address. In addition, we do need to be aware that we may be called to go through this process again. How ready will you be if something like this were to reoccur? The next thing I do is to develop a short-term plan. No one believes that once our social distancing measures are lifted, that the economy will be able to bounce right back. That same understanding should be applied to your operations. You will not be able to flip a switch and be fully operational once you get the green light to start. I believe you should develop a short-term plan, starting today, for the next 6 to 9 months that'll help guide you through a restart phase. The plan should consider things such as when you anticipate your revenue levels to begin to grow, what operational support you might need to produce those revenue levels, when should you bring employees back, and who should you bring back. Also, it should consider any changes you want to make, whether that be capital improvements or process improvements. The plan should be as detailed as you can make it, and once developed, your short-term plan will help you understand the timeline for the restart of your business. Let me discuss employees in just a little bit more detail. Whether your employees have been working at home and you need to bring them back to the office, or if you've had to reduce your staffing levels and you need to rehire, you should develop a plan quickly to bring back employees. You should have a plan that directs you to know who to hire and when, based upon the short-term plan you developed. Also keep in mind that during this short-term restart phase, your employees can serve in different roles than their historical ones. For example, perhaps they begin to contact customers to let them know when you're ready to serve them. That probably was not part of their pre-pandemic job duties, but it is a short-term duty that they can serve now. The employees you bring back at the beginning should also be able to wear multiple hats. Their ability to do that should be considered when you are bringing back your employees. Timing for all of this is critical. I believe hiring good employees back as soon as you can handle it financially may give you a competitive advantage down the road. The next phase of your startup is communication. When you begin to restart, your customers should know this. Part of your short-term plan should be how you will let your customers know you're back. Whether you use digital medium, print, or direct messaging through text or phone, you need a plan to get the word out. And the last step I would take, and it's one to kind of hold on to for just a little bit of time, and that's strategic plan development. Similar to some of the earlier phases I threw out, it's maybe one that sounds out of place. But we need to recognize the world may be different 6 months down the road than it is today. You should begin to develop a strategy that allows you to navigate through the changes. Once your restart's been successful, I really believe you may find it's time to adjust your long-term strategy. I'm sure there are several other points to consider as you restart, and I recognize each industry will have its own nuances to consider. But I believe the companies who restart the most efficiently and the most effectively will be the companies who are the most successful post-pandemic.